Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams with the Midday News. The headlines. Government holds all-party meeting in New Delhi ahead of winter session of Parliament. New Delhi hosts first India-Central Asia meeting of National Security Advisors, asserts connectivity with Central Asian countries remains key priority for India. Delhi High Court rules mother's choice is ultimate in termination of pregnancy. Nation remembers Dr. B.R. Ambedkar on his 67th Mahaparinirvan Divas. World Bank upgrades India's GDP growth forecast for 2022-23 to 6.9% from 6.5%. In FIFA World Cup at Qatar, Morocco to take on Spain while Portugal to lock horns with Switzerland for last two spots in quarterfinals. The government held an all-party meeting in Parliament complex in New Delhi today ahead of the winter session of Parliament, which is scheduled to begin from tomorrow. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi, Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs Arjun Ram Meghwal and V. Muralidharan have attended the meeting. Several opposition parties, including Congress, DMK, TMC and NCP, among others, were also present in the meeting. Briefing media after the meeting, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi said the government is ready to discuss any issue allowed by the chair in Parliament. Congress leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary has urged the government for extensive debates on various issues during the winter session. He demanded that issues like unemployment, inflation, situation on the Indo-China border and MSP for farmers may be discussed during the winter session. The winter session of Parliament will continue till the 29th of this month. The session will have 17 sittings spread over 23 days. On the eve of the winter session, the News Services Division of All India Radio will bring you a special discussion tonight at 9:30 p.m. on issues before Parliament in English and Sansad Ke Samaksh Midday in Hindi. Members of Parliament and spokespersons from recognised national parties will be participating in the discussion on the issues that the parties want to raise in the upcoming winter session. Issues Before Parliament programme can be heard on FM Rainbow channel and Sansad Ke Samaksh Midday programme can be heard on FM Gold, Indraprasth and AIR Live News 24/7 channels from 9:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. National Security Advisor NSA Ajit Doval today said the connectivity with Central Asian countries remains India's key priority. Speaking at the first India-Central Asia meeting of the National Security Advisors in New Delhi, Mr. Doval said a peaceful, secure and prosperous Central Asia is in our common interest.
A peaceful, secure, prosperous Central Asia is in our common interest. Today's meeting therefore assumes importance as it provides us an opportunity to discuss matters which require greater cooperation and coordination amongst the regional countries.
Mr. Doval said countering terror financing should be everyone's equal priority. He also spoke on the security situation in Afghanistan and said it is an important issue concerning us all.
Persistence of terrorist networks in the region, including in Afghanistan, is also a matter of deep concern. Financing is the lifeblood of terrorism, and terror financing should be an equal priority for all of us. We should also call on all UN members to fulfill obligations enshrined in the relevant counter-terrorism conventions and protocols.
This is the first time India is hosting a conclave of top security officials from Central Asian countries including Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan, focusing on the evolving security situation in Afghanistan and ways to deal with the threat of terrorism emanating from that country. In an apparent message to Pakistan, Mr. Doval said India should appeal to all UN members to fulfill obligations enshrined in relevant counter-terror conventions. India's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ruchira Kamboj, has said that terrorism remains a global challenge. Ms. Kamboj said only a unified and zero-tolerance approach to terrorism can eventually defeat it. Indian envoy to the UN also talked about the 26/11 Mumbai terror attack. She said India believes that the credibility of the collective fight against terrorism can be strengthened only when we can ensure accountability for the grave and inhuman acts of terror committed by terrorists and take strong measures against those who encourage, support and finance terrorism. The G20 meetings under India's presidency, which will be held in different cities of the country over a period of 1 year, will give a major boost to India's economic recovery. Addressing a press conference at Udaipur in Rajasthan, officer on special duty of the G20 operations, Muktesh Pardeshi, said G20 meetings will augur well for enhancing tourism potential and strengthening the cultural aspect of the country. He said it will give a much-required push to the employment generation which has been affected due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation co-chair Melinda Gates called on Health and Family Welfare Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia in New Delhi. Speaking on the occasion, the minister lauded the country's frontline healthcare workers as heroes for their role as both caregivers and leaders during the pandemic. Highlighting the importance of documenting their stories, Dr. Mandavia and Ms. Gates unveiled a report titled Grassroots Soldiers, Role of Ashas and ANMs in the COVID-19 Pandemic Management in India. Both of them also discussed the potential and new opportunities for India's ambitious health sector reforms and emphasized on strengthening the digital health mission under the aegis of Ayushman Bharat. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will dedicate 3 national Ayush institutes to the nation on Sunday at the 9th World Ayurveda Congress in Goa. Addressing a press conference in New Delhi, Ayush Minister Sarvananda Sonowal said inauguration of 3 institutes is a step towards fulfilling the Prime Minister's vision of expansion of infrastructure and promotion of research in the traditional medical system. The 3 institutes include All India Institute of Ayurveda in Goa, National Institute of Unani Medicine in Ghaziabad, and National Institute of Homeopathy in Delhi. The Delhi High Court today ruled that the mother holds the ultimate choice in the pregnancy cases involving fetal abnormalities and emphasized that medical boards in such cases must be given qualitative reports. The High Court said this in a ruling while allowing a 26-year-old married woman's plea seeking medical termination of her fetus of over 33 weeks suffering from cerebral abnormalities. The High Court said the medical board ought to interact with the woman in a congenial manner and assess her physical and mental condition. It said the opinion should briefly mention the risks for the woman in either continuing the pregnancy or undergoing termination. This right gives a woman the ultimate choice as to whether to give birth to the child that she has conceived. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts. Janadesh 2022.
Results of Assembly elections in Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh.
On Thursday, the 8th of December 2022. Stay tuned for result updates every hour in our program Janadesh 2022 from 10 a.m.
Special program in Hindi, Surkhiyon Mein, on discussion and analysis of results from 7:10 p.m. to 7:20 p.m.
In English, Spotlight program, roundup of election results from 9:15 p.m. to 9:30 p.m.
Special program on bilingual discussion and analysis from 9:30 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Tune into FM Gold, Rajdhani Channel and National Network of All India Radio. Also, live on News on AIR app. Welcome back to the Midday News. The World Bank today said the Indian economy is set to grow at 6.9% in 2022-23, raising its forecast of 6.5% growth made in October. It said India has demonstrated resilience despite a challenging external environment. In a statement, the World Bank said India is expected to register strong GDP growth and remain one of the fastest growing major economies in the world due to robust domestic demand. It noted that India's economy is relatively insulated from global spillovers compared to other emerging markets. Meanwhile, the World Bank has approved Sri Lanka's request to access concessional financing from the International Development Association. The concessional financing will enable the country to implement its reform programs to stabilize the economy. Reiterating India's commitment to Sri Lanka, NITI Aayog CEO Parameswaran Iyer said that India will support Sri Lanka with more investments. Speaking at the Sri Lanka Economic Summit virtually, Mr. Iyer recalled that India is one of the largest FDI generators for Sri Lanka. Mr. Iyer expressed confidence that Sri Lanka possesses potential to emerge as a stronger and more resilient economy. He enumerated three major dimensions towards economic recovery of the island nation.
I feel that Sri Lanka could take a fresh look at three main dimensions of its economic recovery, namely A. Revitalizing and rationalizing the existing value chains, B. Ensuring that the service sector is strengthened, and C. Reviving tourism. In all of these, ample opportunity exists to leverage the advantage of proximity with India, the world's third largest economy in PPP terms.
India's total coal production has increased by 11.66% to 75.87 million tons MT from 67.94 MT during November this year as compared to November last year. Coal Ministry says 24 mines out of the top 37 mines in coal production have produced more than 100%, and production of 5 mines stood between 80 to 100%. Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan has appealed to students to join Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 6th edition of Pariksha Pe Charcha PPC 2023 to be more prepared for examinations. The minister said the students will get freedom from stress from their fear of examination will also go away. The Prime Minister will also interact with the parents and teachers to help and enable them to support students in accomplishing their dreams and goals. To participate in the 6th edition of PPC, the applicants have to submit their entries at www.innovateindia.mygov.in by the 30th of this month. The nation is paying homage to the architect of Indian Constitution, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, on his 67th Mahaparinirvana Divas. President Draupadi Murmu, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar and Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid floral tributes to Baba Saheb Ambedkar at Parliament House lawns in New Delhi this morning. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi and Congress leaders Sonia Gandhi and Mallikarjun Kharge also paid tributes to Dr. Ambedkar at Parliament House. In his message, Prime Minister Modi said Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's struggles gave hope to millions and his efforts to give India such an extensive constitution can never be forgotten. In FIFA World Cup at Qatar, Morocco will take on Spain, while Portugal will lock horns with Switzerland today for the last two spots in the quarterfinals. The round of 16 match between Morocco and Spain will begin at 8:30 p.m. Indian time. Our correspondent reports Spain's journey began on a shaky note with a shocking loss to Japan in their last group stage game.
Spain has not been able to advance to the quarterfinals since FIFA 2010 when they won the competition. The team would like to take their Group E flag ahead. On the other side, Morocco have performed better than anticipated thus far at the competition and won their group. Only the second time in history they are appearing in the round of 16. Yesterday, Brazil thrashed South Korea 4-1 and secured their spot in the quarterfinals. In another match, Croatia entered the quarterfinals after defeating Japan 3-1 on penalties after both sides were leveled 1-1 at the end of scheduled play time. Croatian goalkeeper Likovic was the hero as he saved 3 spot kicks. Croatia will now meet Brazil in the quarterfinals on Friday. England, France, Argentina and Netherlands have already sealed a spot in the last 8 of the tournament. Aarti Rana, AIR News.
The other round of 16 clash between Portugal and Switzerland will take place at 12:30 a.m. tonight. Brazil, Croatia, England, France, Argentina and the Netherlands have already sealed their spot in the last 8 of the tournament. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Government holds all-party meeting in New Delhi ahead of winter session of Parliament. New Delhi hosts first India Central Asia meeting of National Security Advisors. Asserts connectivity with Central Asian countries remains key priority for India. Delhi High Court rules mother's choice is ultimate in termination of pregnancy. Nation remembers Dr. B.R. Ambedkar on his 67th Mahaparinirvana Divas. World Bank upgrades India's GDP growth forecast for 2022-23 to 6.9% from 6.5% in FIFA World Cup at Qatar. Morocco take on Spain, while Portugal to lock horns with Switzerland for last two spots in quarterfinals. And with that, we end the midday news.